Hi everyone, welcome to your reverse garbage workshop at home. I'm so excited to be making with you, as I would have been if you were in the workshop room with me. Today we're doing Easter baskets because it's Easter time and we want something to collect our little eggs in if we're doing our bit of an Easter hunt in the backyard. So we've got lots of interesting things that we've made our baskets out of. But as you know, if you've been to Reverse Garbage Queensland, these items are all reuse items. So they're not recyclables, or some of them could be recycled, and they're not going into landfill. And we've spent a lot of time at Reverse Garbage Queensland, 20 years in fact, saving things from going into the bin and into landfill. So I'm so glad that you're going to be making baskets with us today and for your Easter time, and I hope you have a fabulous celebration. Okay, so on to our tools. These are the things you're going to need to do your making today. Some of the things you might have around the home, things like scissors, staplers, these are really useful, maybe a pencil and a pen, okay? We don't use sticky tape in our workshops at Reverse Garbage because it's something that is not thrown out, okay? So we don't usually have this, but I know you have it in your home and I know you like to use it. So if you need it, then go ahead and use some sticky tape today. But try not to. Challenge yourself to do something different, try something different. The other things I have are a ruler, okay? Again, not really 100% needed, but very useful. If you have a cutting mat or somewhere that you can do some cutting, that's a really good, useful thing to have. And find yourself a little bin. So at Reverse Garbage Queensland, we use these little cutaway bins. This was a milk carton and we've cut it off and made it our little rubbish bin. It's just really handy to have on the table rather than having to walk away from where you're doing your making. The other thing that you could use today is PVA or craft glue. This is probably better than a glue stick, but either would be fine. Just try and reinforce it in some other way. We are going to provide for you some other sticky materials, so some sticky tape alternatives. This one here is a sticky foam, and this one is a colourful sticker that we've cut up into little pieces. For both of these items, you'll see you peel the back off. Some of you might remember from a workshop if you've been here. The back isn't very useful, unfortunately. It's plasticized paper, so we have to put that one in the bin. Try not to let it float off into your garden or down the road or something. Pop it into the bin straight away, and then you can use either of those sticky materials for joining. They're nice and colourful and very good. These ones make really great noses, moustaches, eyebrows, things like that. You might also have some additional interesting tools at home that you could use. You don't have to have these. Please don't go out and buy them. But if you do have them, then they're handy to have for a bit of variety. So this is called a box cutter or a Stanley knife. It's very sharp, so we need to be very, very careful with it. For the littlies, make sure you're only using it with an adult present, okay? And they'll show you how to use that one. Things like this, which are pliers or wire cutters. Again, these can cut wire, so they're a little bit sharp. This one is for manipulating wire. This is a needle and thread. Again, not 100% necessary, but you never know. You might use it for something. And this one here, we use a lot of, but not everyone has one. This one's cold, so that's why I'm touching it. But it's a hot glue gun, okay? It can be very handy for craft, but it's also not great for sticking everything. So don't rely on it, and certainly don't go out and buy one if you don't have one. We can do this without a hot glue gun. All right, what other tools do you have at home? Okay, now we're going to discuss materials. So you would have got a lovely package of materials in the post, something like this perhaps, from Australia Post. It would be brimming with all sorts of amazing things. So you probably unpacked it and got really excited about what was in there. If you haven't already, pause the video, open it up, spread it out on the table, and we'll talk about it. If you have already opened your packet and you've got it all laid out on your table, then I'm just going to go through it with you. So you've got some strips of cardboard and plastic. These things are really good for the more complicated basket. So if you want to do a woven type basket, if you want to do something like the little plastic container basket, these are really good for handles. Also good for decoration if you want to do some decoration. You've got a little bit of leather, a little bit of silver material. This is from protective equipment. It's really strong and really good fun. So that could be a handle as well, or it could maybe even be a little bow for your basket. You've got some beautiful stars from the Million Stars project that we still have, amazingly, but really lovely for a little Easter basket. Fabric samples and paper samples. So again, if you're doing the little woven basket, you can cut these into strips. If you're not, and you're just going to decorate your container, these are really nice, colourful things to do that with. Maybe you want to cut out some shapes of some Easter eggs to put around the outside of the decoration. The other things you're going to have in here are sticky materials. So this piece of material here peels back. So don't do it like this, because then you just used up one piece of sticky material altogether. Cut it up into strips or dots, or maybe even egg shapes, because it's a nice white colour like an eggshell, and then you can use it like that. We've got more little fabric, exciting bits and pieces, some high-vis fabric there. In this basket, in this bag I should say, we've got some foam. Foam is a really good one for making little characters. So in these little baskets here, we've got little chickens. So you might want to make a little chicken to go in your basket. Something we call plastic seaweed, which is not seaweed at all, and definitely shouldn't go in the sea. It's very strong. There's a green colour and a red colour, but the green could look a little bit like grass, or maybe some stuffing for inside your basket. The other thing we have for the inside of your basket is this stuff here, which we call witchy hair, which is a funny term because we think it looks a bit like something a witch would have under their little witch's hat. But we would use it in this case to put inside, to nestle those eggs in there, okay? The things that we have in these samples is actually just paper. So that's an alternative for you. You could just grab some paper from the scrap paper pile. I hope you have one of those. Cut it up into strips to make some nice little soft space for your eggs or your little chickens. What else do we have here? The most important part, I think, is the container. So if you're making a little decorative basket like this, you can start with a little container like this one. Obviously you can put your handles on like this. You could find a different way to put a handle on. You could even braid a handle and attach it so it's really, really pretty. This one here, someone has wound that plastic seaweed all the way around to make a nice green colour on the handle. But then you can use your glue or your other sticking methods to decorate your basket. If you're making the woven basket, this one's a round one, you use your container to form the basis of how you start your weaving, and we'll talk about that in the next step. But choose which kind of basket you want to make. Maybe you want to make both. You've probably got enough materials for both if there's only a few of you. But explore your materials now of the things that we sent you, and then spend some time maybe thinking about wandering around the house and seeing what you have at home. So here's just a few things I've got. Some tin cans. I don't even know if they're made of tin actually, but tin cans, very useful. Things like straws, okay? So these ones are lovely colours. You might have some more boring colours, but straws are very useful. Start your own collection of bottle caps if you don't have one already. This one is particularly exciting. Get some different shapes, perhaps ones with popping up lids, and things like bottles, juice bottles, any of the bits and pieces that are heading into the recycle bin. You might want to just check that they're nice and clean, or give them a good wash, and then you can use them for your making too. And that's all great creative reuse. Okay, now I'm going to talk to you about how we're going to join things together. Now, you probably already think that you know how to do this, but I'm going to give you a bit of variety so that if you come up against a bit of a challenge for your joining, then you can think about maybe trying something different, learning a new skill. So as I mentioned before, you've been given some sticky materials. So these are either the foam or the stickers. There's some other sticky back material. So have a look around, see what's in that bag, and you'll find some things that you can peel the back off and use as a sticker. They're really great, but don't just use them in the shapes that they are. find your little piece of something and then cut it out. Make some wiggly lines, make some eyeballs, something like that, and then you can use it for decorative effect and not just joining, okay? The other way that is really handy and people generally overlook is using this tool, which is a stapler. If you're making a basket like this, you can use your stickers to decorate. This one has some little paper flowers, so there's a sticker in the center and some paper around the outside. The way to do that would be to take your plastic seaweed and then cut up your little grass shapes like this, and then get your flowers and either stick them on or use your stapler to staple them on. And then you can cover that little staple part up with a nice sticker, and then you've got a little daisy flower there. Then once you've built up your little grass spring scene, you can wrap that around there, either use more stickers to join it together at the back or use some of your glue, hot glue if you have it at home. The other joining methods we have in your pack are wire. So wire is a really, really handy thing when you're doing joining together. Sometimes you might need to poke a hole in something to be able to wire it, but think about it if you've got a button and you've got two holes and you can thread your wire piece through those two little button holes and then twist it around at the back. You've got an ability to hold things together. So that's really handy for something like your handles. Handy for your handles. So you've got some strength in those handles. This is the wire or something like the wire that you would have received, but if you have a look around your kitchen, you might find something that looks like this, or maybe the garden. It's what we call a bread tie, so it might hold your loaf of bread together. It also might be useful in the garden to hold the tomato plants onto the stand, but that's a really good handy piece of wire too, because it's nice and soft and easy to manipulate. Don't forget you've got your sticky tape if you really need it, but try to use something else. You might choose to want to do the little woven basket if you like a bit of a challenge. It is a bit of a challenge, but you have time on your hands, so think about it as something to try and master. Your first one probably will go a little bit skew-if, but keep practicing and you'll be right. The good thing about these materials is that if you run out of them, you can always find some cardboard around the house that you can cut up to use. Maybe even use the cut up cardboard as a practice version and use these materials as your final product. The way we start a woven basket of either side, whether it's a round one or a little rectangular one, is by having a base piece that we later remove, okay? So if you've got a rectangle one, use the box that was provided. If you want a round one, you could use a can or some other kind of round container. You can see on the bottom of this one how I've started the round one. So lay your pieces out in a star shape like this. I'm using the plastic just to show you what I mean. Secure them somehow. So on this one I've used a stapler, but you could use tape or glue to bring them together. Once you've got them secure, you can flip your container over, and as you can see, I've started to just gently bend around the sides to find out where that edge is, okay? So you're using this base piece as a mold for what will become your basket. It's the same with your rectangle one. If you have a look on the bottom of this one, it's less secured in the middle and more just laid out so that you've got all your strips nice and evenly placed, and then you mold it over the basket itself. All right, so once you've got your base pieces laid out, as I said, then you start to mold them. Then what we'll do is take a piece like this and just start to weave it in and out of your pieces all the way around, okay? Then you secure it with some tape like these ones, okay? So these are where the joins are, This one here, you can see this one's about a year old, so it's starting to fall apart, but you can see where the joins are there. Then you just go for the next one, and just repeat the process over and over again until you've built up your woven pattern. Once you get to the top, so you can see with this one, once you get to the top, you've got all your pieces built up at the side. Take your mold out and then feed your end pieces back through the design. Just gently, slowly, there's no rush, and secure them as you like. Sometimes you don't even need to secure them. You might need to just trim it slightly so that it's not really obvious. And then you can see that it's all nice and put together, okay? So for your rectangular basket, it's the same deal. So lay out your pieces of cardboard and then interweave them. Once you've interwoven them, you can just gently fold it over so you can see how it's made the mark there. Then you can flip it over and start working your cardboard around the side the same way we did with the circular one. It is a little bit more tricky, but the results are really, really cool. So persist. I know you can do it. Okay everyone, I'm sure you're itching to get actual making now, so please go ahead and make your Easter basket. Now, your Easter basket is going to look completely different to my Easter basket because the materials that you have were different to the materials I had to make these ones. So don't try and copy these ones. Come up with your own ideas. Think about what Easter means to you. Think about the colors that you love to use, the textures you love to use, something that you found in your pack that's really exciting and that you really want to use to make your basket special. If you have a quick look around our workshop room, all the things look so different to each other. And if you come and have a workshop with us, what you walk away with will never be the same as what we have produced ourselves. And that's great. That's really unique. And I really want to encourage you to give something a go. Okay, so we've got a little bunny one here. This one has a little spring garden on it. I really like the idea of using the stickers to make Easter egg shapes with different colors. These ones here don't have handles, but maybe you want to put a handle on your little woven basket. Maybe you don't want to use all these crazy colors. Maybe you just like to have it really neat, poor little chicken, really neat and very calm colors. Maybe you want to weave in some ribbons or some fabric. Go for your life, find what you can and really make it special. And don't forget to send us a photo because I really, really want to see what you've made. That's part of the joy of running a workshop for me, is to see what you guys can come up with that I didn't even think about. Now, if you're watching this video on Facebook, then I'm right here to answer your questions. It is also available on our YouTube channel on RGQ TV. So if you want to skip over to that place, then you can pause the video at individual places so that you can go through something that I've already told you, and you can obviously re-watch it. I'll be online until lunchtime if you have any questions or want to show me what you've made, or if you got a bit stuck somewhere, and I'd love to hear from you. So over and out, and hope to see you soon.